Have you ever wondered what would actually happen if you stopped masturbating in your later years? Is it just about willpower, or is there more to the story? It's a topic that's often shrouded in silence, especially when we talk about health after 50. But what if I told you that for some, this personal choice can unlock a cascade of unexpected changes, touching everything from emotional well-being to creative expression? It's not about judgment or a one-size-fits-all prescription, but about exploring the lesser-known paths to personal growth and vitality in the chapters of life that are yet to be written. Let me tell you about Mr. Thompson, a 68-year-old retired history teacher, a man of routine and quiet contemplation. He stumbled upon this path not through a grand resolution, but out of simple curiosity. He decided on a whim to see what would happen if he abstained for a while. What he discovered was so profound that it reshaped his retirement, his relationships, and his very sense of self. His journey wasn't about deprivation, it was about redirection, and it led him to places he never anticipated, proving that our bodies and minds hold surprising capacities for change, no matter our age. Mr. Thompson's story is a fascinating case study in how our habits, even the most private ones, are interwoven with our overall health and happiness. It's a testament to the idea that exploring our own boundaries can lead to remarkable self-discovery. If you're curious about how small changes can make a big difference in your health after 50, hit that subscribe button and join our Health Beyond 50 community for more eye-opening stories and tips. The first thing Mr. Thompson noticed, about 2 weeks into his personal experiment, was a peculiar sense of quiet in his mind. The usual low-level hum of restlessness, the fleeting urges that would pull at his attention throughout the day, began to fade. In their place, he found a newfound stillness. This wasn't an emptiness, but a clarity. His emotions, which sometimes felt like a muddled watercolor, started to separate into distinct, vibrant hues. He could more easily identify feelings of joy, nostalgia, or even subtle frustration without them being clouded by a constant underlying drive. It was as if a fog had lifted from his emotional landscape, allowing him to see the terrain with unprecedented sharpness. This clarity had a ripple effect on his relationships. One afternoon, his daughter called, clearly stressed about work. Normally, Mr. Thompson might have offered some quick, practical advice, feeling a slight impatience to get back to his newspaper. But this time, he listened differently. He heard the tremor in her voice, the exhaustion beneath her words. He found himself responding not with solutions, but with genuine empathy, asking questions that made her feel truly heard. Their conversation deepened, moving beyond the surface-level check-in to a real, heartfelt connection. He realized he wasn't just hearing words anymore. He was feeling the emotions behind them, both his own and others. This wasn't an isolated incident. He found himself more present during conversations with his wife, more attuned to the moods of his grandchildren, and more patient with the world around him. By redirecting the energy he once expended on a solitary act, he had inadvertently opened up a reservoir of emotional energy to invest in others. It was a profound realization. The act of abstaining wasn't just about what he was giving up, but about what he was gaining in his capacity to connect with the people who mattered most. His inner world became clearer, which in turn made his outer world richer and more meaningful. Before this experiment, Mr. Thompson's days had a comfortable, predictable rhythm. The crossword puzzle, the afternoon walk, the evening news. His hobbies were pleasant, but rote. However, as the weeks went on, he noticed a strange, new energy bubbling up within him. It was a kind of mental restlessness, but unlike the old urges, this one felt productive, almost exciting. He found himself looking at the dusty old guitar in the corner of his study, not as a relic of his youth, but as an invitation. One evening, instead of turning on the television, he picked it up, his fingers awkwardly finding the chords he hadn't touched in 30 years. The first few attempts were clumsy, a cacophony of buzzing strings and forgotten notes. But he wasn't discouraged. In fact, he felt a surge of determination he hadn't experienced in ages. This was the second surprising effect, a powerful, unexpected boost in creativity. The mental space that had been occupied by a cyclical, dopamine-seeking habit was now a fertile ground for new ideas and old passions. He started spending hours each day practicing the guitar, then moved on to sketching the birds in his backyard, another long-abandoned hobby. He felt like a dam within him had burst, releasing a flow of creative energy he thought had dried up long ago. His wife was the first to notice the change. She'd find him humming new melodies while washing dishes or see his sketchpad filled with detailed drawings of wrens and sparrows. He explained it as a simple shift in focus. The energy he used to channel into a brief, fleeting moment of pleasure was now being reinvested into activities that provided a lasting sense of accomplishment and joy. It wasn't that he suddenly became a great artist overnight, it was that he rediscovered the process of creating. This newfound passion gave his retirement a new purpose, transforming his predictable days into a vibrant canvas of exploration and self-expression. For years, Mr. Thompson had accepted restless nights as an unavoidable part of getting older. He would often wake up 2 or 3 times, his mind racing, and then find it difficult to drift back into a deep slumber. He'd tried everything, from warm milk to avoiding caffeine after noon, but honestly, none of it seemed to help much. So, he was completely taken aback when, about a month into his period of abstinence, he slept through the entire night. He woke up feeling not just rested, but genuinely refreshed, a feeling he hadn't realized he'd been missing so acutely. This marked the beginning of the third major change: dramatically improved sleep patterns. He started tracking it, just out of curiosity. Night after night, he found himself falling asleep more easily and staying asleep longer. The fragmented, choppy nights were replaced by long, uninterrupted stretches of deep, restorative rest. Medically speaking, this actually makes some sense. The cycle of arousal and release, especially before bed, can sometimes interfere with the body's natural sleep-wake cycle, or circadian rhythm. By removing this variable, Mr. Thompson's body seemed to be resetting itself, finding a more natural and consistent rhythm. He was no longer waking up feeling groggy and behind before the day had even started, and the impact on his daily life was enormous. With better sleep came more stable energy levels throughout the day. That post-lunch slump that used to send him to the armchair for a nap became less pronounced. His mood was brighter, his patience longer, and his mind sharper. He had more energy for his newfound hobbies, for walks with his wife, and for playing with his grandchildren. He realized just how much of his daytime fatigue and irritability had been a direct consequence of poor sleep. By making one simple change in his private life, he had inadvertently unlocked the key to better nights and, consequently, much better days. Resisting a deeply ingrained habit is, at its core, an exercise in willpower. For Mr. Thompson, the daily, sometimes hourly act of consciously choosing not to act on an urge began to feel like mental strength training. In the beginning, it was a struggle, a constant internal negotiation. But as he persisted, he noticed something fascinating. The muscle he was building to resist this one specific urge was strengthening his self-control in completely unrelated areas of his life. This was the fourth surprising effect, a heightened sense of self-discipline and focus that really started to permeate everything he did. The first place he saw this new discipline emerge was in the kitchen. For years he had a sweet tooth that was hard to manage. A cookie here, an extra scoop of ice cream there. But now, when faced with the temptation of a sugary snack, he found it easier to pause and make a conscious choice. The same mental process he used to redirect his sexual energy, acknowledging the urge, considering his long-term goals, and choosing a different path, was now being applied to his diet. He started making healthier choices, not because he felt he too, but because he felt he. He was in the driver's seat of his own impulses. And this newfound focus extended beyond his diet. He began sticking to a regular exercise routine with a consistency that had always kind of eluded him. When he sat down to read a book or practice his guitar, he found he could maintain his concentration for longer periods, less distracted by fleeting thoughts or the urge to check his phone. It was as if, by mastering one corner of his inner world, he had gained a greater command over the entire kingdom. The act of abstaining wasn't just about saying no to one thing, it was about empowering himself to say yes to the healthier, more focused, and more disciplined version of himself he wanted to be. Perhaps the most profound and unexpected change for Mr. Thompson occurred within his marriage. He and his wife had a loving, comfortable relationship, but like many long-term couples, their physical intimacy had become more routine than passionate. When he first began his experiment, he worried it might create a distance between them. Instead, the exact opposite happened. The absence of his solitary habit created a vacuum that was filled with a different kind of desire. A desire for connection, for touch, for shared intimacy. This was the fifth and most beautiful effect, a complete rediscovery of intimacy. Without the usual easy outlet for his sexual energy, he found himself seeking closeness with his wife in new and forgotten ways. It started with small gestures, holding her hand more often during their walks, a lingering hug in the kitchen, a gentle touch on her arm as they watched television. These small acts of physical affection, completely devoid of any immediate goal, began to rebuild a bridge of non-sexual intimacy that had, over the years, become less traveled. They started talking more, sharing vulnerabilities and dreams in a way they hadn't since they were much younger. This renewed emotional closeness naturally paved the way for a new kind of physical intimacy. Their lovemaking became less about a predictable script and more about mutual exploration and presence. It was slower, more sensual, and more emotionally connected. They were rediscovering each other's bodies and desires after decades together. For Mr. Thompson, the journey that began as a solitary experiment in self-control had culminated in a deeper, more meaningful partnership. He learned that true intimacy wasn't just about a physical act, but about the shared energy, vulnerability, and connection between two people. A lesson that brought a new, vibrant color to the golden years of his marriage. Mr. Thompson's story is a powerful reminder that our journey of self-discovery never truly ends. By making one conscious change, he inadvertently set off a chain reaction that enhanced his emotional life, creativity, sleep, self-discipline, and even the intimacy in his marriage. It's crucial to remember that this is his personal story, not a universal prescription. The goal isn't to demonize a natural human behavior, but to highlight the incredible potential that lies in consciously examining our habits and being open to change, especially in our later years, when we might think we're already set in our ways. What small change could you explore in your own life? What habit, if consciously redirected, might unlock unexpected benefits for you? The path to a healthier, more vibrant life after 50 is often paved with these small, intentional choices. It's about staying curious about ourselves, questioning our routines, and having the courage to experiment. Whether it's related to this topic, your diet, your exercise, or your mental habits, the power to reshape your well-being is always in your hands. Your story is still being written, and you are the author. The key takeaway is that our bodies and minds are interconnected in ways we're still discovering. If Mr. Thompson's journey has sparked your curiosity about more ways to boost your health and happiness after 50, check out our other videos on Health Beyond 50 for more surprising tips and inspiring stories. Don't forget to subscribe and join our growing community. Let's continue to explore and grow together.